Devotees, welcome to BhagavatSanga program. This is our Śrīmad Bhāgavatam program where we read prayers of pure devotees. The current theme, the theme that we are starting from today newly, is prayers of Satyavrata. It is from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, chapter 24, verses 46 to 53. Today we have a wonderful devotee, Prashanth Prabhu, who's also our coordinator for BhagavatSanga. He will be starting with these verses, and sharing his realizations. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Namit Manam Prabhupada. Get started. Devotees, I will share my screen. Can everybody see it?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, okay, we'll get started. So like Mataji said, today we are covering, 1 second. We are covering prayers of Satyavrata from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, chapter 24, verses 46 to 53. Before we start, we will do quick prayers. I want to thank Meena Mataji, Satya Prabhu, Ishwara Mataji, Radha Prabhu for giving me this opportunity and for engaging me in this service. Anything I'm about to explain is for my own purification and coming directly from Guru or Gurus and then Sri Prabhupada Acharyas. So nothing is coming from me. So please forgive me if I make any mistakes. We'll start with the invocation prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Murtale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravan Charini Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarani. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakti. And because we're reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, we recite these verses. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udinayet shrivatam swakata krishna punyashravana kirtana dantastu hi abhadrani vipudotsatam ashtapayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloki Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Om Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. So we will start with explanation of the beautiful pastime of King Satyavrata. So this pastime in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam starts in chapter 24, and in this chapter Parikshit Maharaj asks Sukadeva Goswami what was the purpose for which the Supreme Personality of Godhead took the form of a fish, right? And he says the form of a fish is certainly condemned and full of terrible pain. So he asks, my Lord, what was the purpose of this incarnation? Kindly please explain it to us, for hearing the pastimes of the Lord is auspicious for everyone. Right? So Parikshit Maharaj is asking, why did the Lord take the form of a fish? The fish is highly condemned. It is, has to survive its whole life in water, and it has to be in the ocean where it has many predators. So why is the Lord taking this form, and why is he accepting different forms under the laws of karma? Meaning that he takes many different forms, and he takes it for as though, and he in those pastimes he behaves as though an ordinary living being would interact. So, Srila Prabhupada, it's in the Bhagavad Gita, he connects this to saying, in chapter 4, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata Abhyutthana Dharmasya Tadatmanam Shrujamiham. And so the Lord comes whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion. At that time, I descend myself. Then next verse he says, Paritanaya sadhuna vinashaya chadushkutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami. Again, he comes to annihilate the miscreants, reestablish principles of religion, and deliver the pious, right? Where he comes. So Sukadev Goswami explains this. He says that, O king, he comes for the sake of protecting the cows, brahmanas, demigods, devotees, the Vedic literature, religious principles, and principles to fulfill the purpose of life. So because of that, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, accepts the forms of incarnations. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that of that verse, he says, the main objective that we can take away from all these pastimes, and even this particular pastime, is human society should learn how to give protection specifically to brahmanas and cows. And it's if we can protect the cows and if we can protect Brahmanical culture, then our aim of life can be fulfilled. But if we don't do those things, if we don't have any protection of cows or Brahmanical culture, then everything is in a precarious position. So that's why the Lord descends. He descends so that he can show as an example how we can protect the cows, how we can protect the brahmanas. And by doing so, we can make sure that the aim of all life, which is, to go back to Krishna consciousness, go back to Godhead, can be fulfilled. So the aim of life can be fulfilled. So Sukadeva Goswami, to answer this question, he explains this pastime. He says there is actually, 2 times the Lord takes the form of the fish. The first time is when the demon Hayagriva takes the Vedas, and he comes to kill the Vedas. He comes to kill the demon that took the Vedas. He comes to kill Hayagriva. And then the second time is this pastime. He says that during the Chakshusha Manvantara, there was a great king named Satyavrata, who was a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And to favor this devotee, the Lord comes. And to please this devotee, the Lord comes. And, who is King Satyavrata? So Satyavrata in the present millennium is no other than Vaivashvata Manu. So what's explained is King Satyavrata became the son of Vivaswan, the king of the sun planet, and was known as Shraddha Deva. And by mercy of the Supreme Lord, he was given the post of Manu. And because he's the son of Vivaswan, he's known as Vaivashvata Manu. So he's the 7th Manu. The current Manu that we are under is no other than King Satyavrata in previous life. So, and Krishna makes the reference in 4.1. He says, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktvam Aham Avyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manu Ishvapve Ravit. The blessed Lord said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, and Vivaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind. And Manu, in turn, instructed it to Ishvaku. So this same Manu is referred to here. That's who King Satyavrata was. So why is, Satyavrata was a great devotee of the Lord. And Sukadeva Goswami explains that he engaged in the austerity of subsisting only by drinking water. And so he's no food, only water. And in this pastime, what happens is one time when he's performing austerity on the bank of the Kritamala river, and offering obeisances and oblations of water. Then he found a small fish, and the fish spoke to him. He tried to put the fish back in the water, and the fish spoke to him and asked him to keep him in a safe place. And the king didn't know that the fish was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He just thought, okay, this fish is asking for protection. I will give it to him, to the fish. So he gave shelter to the fish and kept it in a water jug. And the fish then expanded in such a way that he could no longer be kept in the jug of water. Then the king, the fish asked the king to put him in a bigger spot. So the king puts him in a well. And then overnight he grows again and the well is too small. Then the king puts the fish in the lake and the lake also becomes unsuitable. And finally the king puts him in the sea. And then he tells the king, don't put me in the sea. There's many sharks and other animals here. And the king then finally understands that the fish has grown so big that he's even taking up the sea. That the fish was no one else but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then the king Satyavrata tells the fish. He asks the fish. He says, being bewildered, he asks him, "Who are you, sir? You simply bewilder us. In one day you have expended yourself for hundreds of miles, covering the water of the river and ocean. Before this, I had never seen or heard of such an aquatic animal, my lord. You are certainly the inexhaustible Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana Sri Hare. It is to show your mercy to the living entities that you have now assumed the form of an aquatic." So then the king recognizes the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord is pleased, and he tells him that, okay, the end of the day of Brahma is coming in a week, and with that there would be an inundation throughout the universe, and the whole universe is going to go underwater, all three lokas. Um, um, so what he tells the king to do is to bring the 7 rishis, bring herbs, seeds, and other living entities, and that he would come in a boat, and he should attach the boat to the fish's horn, and he disappears. So the king meditates on the Supreme Lord, and in due course of time, the annihilation happens, and there's torrential rain, and the whole land is flooded. But in that time, and he's meditating, and what happens is a boat comes, and when the boat comes, he takes everybody, puts them on the boat, and then he ties the boat to the golden horn of the Lord, and then he offers these prayers. So that's the prayers that we will cover. So I won't go through every verse in the prayer, but I picked basically 4 instructions that we can take away from these verses. Right? So we'll go to the first verse. So the first verse is Shri Rajo Vacha Anadi Avidyo Pahat Atma Samvidas Tanmula Samsara Parisrama Turaha Yad Yadurchatyo Pashratayam Apnuyur Vimuktido Na Paramo Gurur Bhavan. So the king says, by the grace of the Lord, those who have lost their self-confidence since time immemorial, and who, because of this ignorance, are involved in a material conditioned life full of miseries, obtain the chance to meet the Lord's devotee. I accept that Supreme Personality of Godhead as the spiritual master. So, what? It's okay. This verse. 1 second, devotees. I lost my Supreme. Mm. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Okay. My apologies to Andy. Okay, should see it now. Okay. So this verse, he says that the on our ignorance is that we seek happiness in a conditioned life full of miseries. And so I think we've heard the term previously that happiness is nothing but the space between two miseries. So we are so conditioned that we continue to seek this space between two miseries throughout our whole life, right? And and the Lord sees all this and he knows this. So what he does is he comes to save us and protect us from our own illusion and suffering. So in this verse, he gives the first instruction, which is the king gives his first instruction, at least from what I can interpret, is we should accept the Supreme Lord as the Supreme Spiritual Master. Right? So first and foremost, the Supreme Lord is the original spiritual master. Unfortunately, in the age of Kali, we can't meet the Lord face to face, right? We don't have that benediction. So the only way we can meet the Lord is by the grace of his bona fide representative or guru that's acting on the Supreme Lord's behalf. So what Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport is that we should treat our spiritual master, gurus, devotees with utmost respect. He says that Acharya Mam Vijay Yani Yat, meaning that they're equivalent to the Supreme Lord himself, and we must never disrespect them in any way. And in that particular verse, what is said is we should not envy the spiritual master, we should not envy the Lord, we should not envy Guru, or we should not envy devotees, and we should give them utmost respect. So essentially what this is telling us is, you're conditioned, we are conditioned, and since time immemorial, we have been continually, engaging ourselves in material sense gratification and material miseries. And, by the grace of the Lord in this life, we have some Krishna consciousness, right? We know that, we were exposed to some devotees by some Sukriti, we were able to get that benediction. And we should take full advantage of that. So first thing we have to do is accept the Supreme Lord for who he is, which is the Supreme Spiritual Master. And we should understand that through him comes Guru Parampara, right? And Guru Parampara is to be treated with the same level of respect, which is utmost respect without envy. And we should serve them, which coming up in the next verses, the king explains. So the spiritual master is the Lord's most confidential servant in broadcasting the Lord's message for the benefit of conditioned souls involved in the material world. So Srila Prabhupada is telling us here that the guru is taking the position equivalent to the Supreme Lord, because he's connecting us and he is helping us get rid of our conditioning. And he's doing it not for any other material gain, but out of his causeless mercy. So that's the first instruction. So the second instruction is in the next verse. I'll read the verse. Jano buddho yam nija karma bandhana shukhe chaya karma samihate sukham Yat sevaya tam vidunoti asanmatim grantim sa bindayad dridhayam sano guru. In hopes of becoming happy in this material world, the foolish conditioned soul performs fruitive activities that result only in suffering. But by rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one becomes free from such false desires for happiness. May my Supreme Spiritual Master cut the knot of my false desires from the core of my heart. So, what we can take away is, right, we are all in material ignorance. We are all in avidya. And our cycle is such that, our senses, mind, intelligence, false ego, and soul above that, all of these are fully focused on sense enjoyment and sense gratification. So our cycle is from senses to the mind. The mind wants to continue to experience the same pleasure of the senses, so it engages the intelligence. And then the false ego says, okay, I shouldn't identify with the soul, I should identify with the body and the senses, right? So all of our focus is on sense gratification and performing fruitive activities to keep enjoying. So this puts us in great distress because all of that is temporary, right? It's dukkhalayam ashashvatam, it's temporary and miserable. And over millions and millions of lifetimes, we've been conditioned. So what is the result is that all our non-Krishna conscious actions will only result in bondage and suffering. And in this verse, it talks about the knot of false desires, right? So this knot, we've continued through our conditioning, we have tightened knots, made more knots, right? And that keeps us in the cycle of birth and death. And because we've been through these millions and millions of lifetimes, we've tied these knots and tightened them for millions and millions of lifetimes, right? So to undo millions of knots, it would take a long time, or it would take a lot of mercy, and it would take a lot of effort. So what we should do is, the second instruction is to render devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And first thing that happens is we become free from such false desires for happiness, right? So we give up our plans and instead surrender to spiritual master, surrender to Guru, who will cut the knot of false desires from our heart, right? So practically, how do we do this, right? It's the foundational aspect of devotional service, which is Shravanam and Kirtanam. So we have to first hear, we have to gain the knowledge, and then we have to apply the knowledge and apply glorification of the Lord, which is nothing but, practically chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, if we think about it, every time we chant, we hopefully, through the sincerity of our chanting, we can, hope to undo one of these knots. But that depends on our sincerity and how focused we are. And to take, untie millions and millions of knots, it would take, full sincerity, right? And it would take full effort. So we have to keep that in mind while we chant. And the other thing is in this rendering services, we can only do it through the mercy of Guru. So Guru will help us identify, okay, what works best for us in order to cut the knots that we have, and then engage us in a way that we are able to overcome those knots. So then the next verse is the third instruction. So I'll read the verse. Yat seva yajna iva rudra rodhanam puman vijayan malam atmanastama bhajeta varanam nijam esasovya yo bhuyatsa isa paramo guru. One who wants to be free from material entanglement should take to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and give up the contamination of ignorance involving pious and impious activities. Thus, one gains his original identity, just as the block of gold and silver sheds all the dirt and becomes purified when treated with fire. May that inexhaustible Supreme Personality of Godhead become our spiritual master, for he is the original master of all other spiritual masters. Right? So what we can take away is the purpose of human life is to regain our spiritual form, our original identity. So the third instruction is, through devotional service, through sadhana, what we have to do is develop love and devotion for Krishna so that we can get purified, right? So, and when we get purified, we can resume our swarupa, which is our original identity. So, in the 9 stages of devotional service, it's Shravanam, Kirtanam. Sorry, not 9 stages of devotional service. It's in the path of steps that we should follow for devotional service, right? This is where we purify ourselves, right? By performing sadhana, we can get purified. And if we perform devotional service, then we can get to ananta nivritti, right? Which is where we slowly cleanse our heart. So, Sri Prabhupada says that, there are many processes, right? Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. But the recommended process for decontamination is devotional service to the Supreme Lord. And he says, we are Satchitananda Vigraha, and the luster is Ananda, or pleasure. So we have to, in order to resume this, we are part and parcel of Krishna. So a part of us is Satchitananda Vigraha. And in order to resume that, go back to being a part of Satchitananda Vigraha, or that quality, we have to purify ourselves. And the Lord uses this term as like gold and silver can be treated from dirty contamination by putting into fire. So you could wash gold and you could wash silver, right? And it would it still be pure? It may still have contamination. So what King Satyavrata says is, instead, you should do it by putting it into fire, because when you put it into fire, you burn all of those things permanently, right? And you can separate the gold or the silver. So when you heat up, raw gold and silver, you can separate the gold and silver from any impurities, and then you can restore the gold and silver to its original condition, right? Which is the same, which is the Swarupa, original identity. So same way for us, we should be in the fire of devotional service, not just not just for name or fame or something else for material desire, but we should be fully in the fire of devotional service so that our bad karma and our material attachments and our desire and our bad desires, they get burned up completely, and we are left with our pure identity, which is to serve the Lord, right? And we have to listen to Guru, because Srila Prabhupada says that the Lord's representative is as good as the Lord himself, because such a representative does not say anything unless it is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the only way we can develop love and devotion for Krishna is by listening to Guru, because Guru speaks whatever Krishna spoke, and that's essentially the Guru Parampara system. And because it comes from the line of discipled succession, it's exactly what Krishna said. So in that way, it's nothing but what Krishna said. So I'll go to the last verse I wanted to cover, which is the last instruction. So this is verse 53. Tvam aham deva varam varenyam prapadya isham pratibodhayana bodhayamya chindi artadipir bhagavan vachobir grantin hidayan Vivishnu swam okaha. So the King Satyavrata says, "O Supreme Lord, for self-realization I surrender unto you, who are worshipped by the demigod as the supreme controller of everything. By your instructions, exposing life's purpose, kindly cut the knot from the core of my heart and let me know the destination of my life." So the fourth instruction is that we should directly see the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Guru Instructor, and the Guru and our spiritual master, in the current sense, as the Guru who is the conduit by which we can connect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Supreme Personality, the Supreme Lord has given full directions in how to deal with everything in this material world and how to return back home to Godhead. So what we should do then is to follow what the Supreme Lord says, right? So we shouldn't listen to, and this is building up from the last few verses, which I didn't cover, but basically the last few verses say that there are many false gurus, right? And they are focused on some sort of material gain. So instead, what we should do is focus on the true guru, and we should focus on disciplic succession from the true guru, which is Krishna. And if we do that, then we can properly go back to our original identity. And and Srila Prabhupada quotes the famous verse in 4.34, right? He says, "Tadvidi pradipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha." So the main instruction that we can take away is just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. And the self-realized soul can impart unto you because he has seen the truth. So the self-realized soul can cut the knot from the core of our heart, right? These knots that we've built up over millions and millions of lifetimes, the guru can help us undo all those knots and burn up all of our bad karma so that we can restore our original identity and our original relationship, which is to serve the Lord eternally through devotional souls. So I will stop here. So thank you, devotees, for listening. Please forgive me if I made any mistakes. Thank you again for the opportunity. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. That was such an amazing class you gave. And since this is the first time we are starting with this theme, it was so nice to hear what these prayers, what is King Satyavrata saying, what is the pastime. Very nicely you said why Lord comes and how he protects his devotees, protects the brahmanas, cows, and how King Satyavrata was, trying to protect everyone. The pastime you shared, very nice, Prabhu. And I really like how you picked up 4 verses and highlighted the key points. That is our key takeaway for today. So I'm just going to reiterate that. I noted down 3 of them. It's very important for us to treat our spiritual master, guru, and all of the devotees with utmost respect. I think that is something we have to keep, very, very important thing to keep in our mind. And also when you were saying, I also remembered that, Vaishnava Prad is very dangerous. So we have to also be very careful of that. And they really have nothing to gain, but they're doing it out of causeless mercy to help us progress in bhakti, right? And service to the Lord. We have to render service to the Lord. That's very important. And finally, we have to develop the love and devotion to Krishna so we can be purified. And even the other day, Satyasara Prabhu gave in the class, only then we will know our Swarup Siddhi, right? How we will know. And that is the purpose of our whole existence. So that's the main points. Thank you, Prabhu. That was such an amazing class. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for coordinating and getting devotees to inspiring all of us to give class. And you started with a good start, for this new theme. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, devotees. Sorry we went a few extra minutes, but thank you all for staying back and joining today and listening. With that, we conclude the program.